Oh, I have one. I'm an ornithologist, and in a previous job a couple of years ago I was out on a bird survey in a remote part of southwest Scotland. I was following a fence line through forest to the top of a hill where I would be able to get a good view of the landscape. The fence turned a right angle at the top of the hill with the forestry on one side and open landscape on the other. Tied to the corner of the fence was a plastic bottle. I immediately assumed that it was a geocache and opened it up to write my name and the date. Inside were some pieces of rolled up paper secured with a crumbling elastic band. I opened it up and realized very quickly that this was definitely not a geocache. The note read as follows: "This is word for word, except for the dude's name. I photographed it, dear Sir or Hunter. Hi, I'm Thomas and here's my details, so as you will know me if you see me around here. Age, 40s, pale, 5 feet 7 inches, soft tender body, smooth skin, chest 35 inches, hips 37, bum cheeks 39. Please phone if interested in meeting or if you know any gent that is. I have upper body and arm weakness and slightly weakling looks and no friend or relatives in closet lifestyle. I can meet here or Moore's, cafe or anywhere in UK, even on frosty mornings for a hunter. P.S. I'm inexperienced apart from some meetings with a gent in his garden shed in 1993, but I was always tied up, while he put something down my bladder and it got too painful. There was also a small piece of paper with a very grainy black and white photocopy of a side-on view of man with his hands tied above his head, but his eyes had been cut out, leaving a tiny rectangular hole in the paper. On it, the words were written, "Too dark," and "blindfold." Being a 27-year-old lone female and the only human for miles around, it was fair to say that I was a bit creeped out. But then I reasoned that A, the bottle looked as though it had been there for quite a long time, and B, I was probably not his type anyway. I reassembled the contents of the bottle, left everything exactly as I found it, and noped back down the hill to continue my bird survey. I've never found anything like that since. Good luck to the guy the first guess. I have no idea who to tell about this. I grew up in Allansdown NH directly behind Bear Brook State Park, where a serial killer known as Terry Peter Rasmussen is known to have murdered 4 people and disposed of their bodies behind a trailer park in the 80s. ABC 2020 has a documentary about him called The Chameleon Killer. Anyway, as a miserable kid I used to walk the woods a ton. In that time I'm pretty sure I saw more barrels up in the woods, at least 2, maybe 3. And there are still people missing in the case. The problem I have is that I don't know what to do with this information. I was a kid, they could be false memories, or maybe I was in a junkyard somewhere and that's where I saw the barrels or something. Maybe I'm blending 2 memories together or something. But here's the thing. I remember questioning myself more about, why are there barrels all the way up in the woods? Than the memory of seeing them, but I do distinctly recall looking at the first one, about 50 yards away up the hill, sunken into the soil at an angle from age and weather. I remember looking around at context clues and thinking that if a factory were ever here I should see remnants of an old foundation, power lines, an old road crumbling, pollution, but nothing. Just woods, and a creepy barrel. So I walked away. That creeps me out to this day, and has bothered me ever since I found out there was a serial killer in that area, less than 2 miles away. Another barrel I found was maybe 20 feet off a trail, 3/4 of the way buried on its side, but it looked like rain and weather had uncovered the top few inches from soil erosion. I was on my bike that time, I think a few years older, and I also just rode away. A third time, I found a barrel lid. Here's the thing, I do not trust the NH Allansdown PD. Something fishy is going on. They haven't put much effort into this case. Most of the discoveries have been from private researchers or true crime enthusiasts trying to bring closure. In my experience, Allansdown is a miserable small-town America-type place with a town full of people who all have secrets, and who don't take kindly to outside people asking a bunch of questions. If you watch the videos, podcasts, you'll hear others say the same thing, and I unfortunately lived there for 18 years until I escaped. NHPD has only been back to the location once, hasn't canvassed the greater side of the forest, and it took them almost 20 years to find a second barrel just few yards away from the first. Even the PD themselves admit it was embarrassing. They also have released next to nil about their findings other than, they're still investigating. This has been bothering me for years. IDK what to do. I don't want to kick off a huge investigation if I'm wrong and it's all a mix of childhood memories blurring, but also, evidence could be deteriorating. People deserve to know what happened to their loved ones. And no one's final resting place should be in a lonely abandoned barrel.